And King Solomon sent and received Hiram from Tyre, son of a widow, and he was from the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a Tyrian man, an artisan in bronze, and accomplished in skill and understanding and knowledge, to perform every work in bronze. And he was brought in to King Solomon, and he made all the works. And he cast the 2 pillars for the Ilom of the house. 18 cubits was the height of a pillar, and a circumference of 14 cubits encompassed it. And the thickness of the pillar was the hollow of 4 fingers, and so the second pillar. And he made 2 covers of molten bronze, to set on the tops of the pillars, 5 cubits the height of the one cover, and 5 cubits the height of the second cover. And he made 2 lattice works to wrap around the cover of the pillars, and a lattice work for the one cover, and a lattice work for the second cover. And a hanging work, 2 rows of bronze pomegranates wrought in networks, a hanging work, row upon row, and thus he did with the second cover. And he set up the pillars of the Ilom of the shrine, and he set up the one pillar and called its name Yakum, and he set up the second pillar and called its name Baaz. And on the tops of the pillars was lily work of 4 cubits, against the Ilom, and a beam on both the pillars, and on top of the sides the beam was as a cover in thickness. And he made the sea 10 cubits from its rim to its rim. The same was round in a circle. Its height was 5 cubits, and drawn together, 33 in cubits encompassed it. And supports under its rim all round were encircling it, 10 in cubits all round, to raise up the sea. And its rim was like the work of the rim of a cup, like a bud of a lily, and the thickness of it a handbreadth. And 12 oxen were under the sea, the 3 facing north, and the 3 facing seaward, and the 3 facing south, and the 3 facing east. And all the hindquarters were toward the house, and the sea was upon them from above. And he made 10 bronze mechanoth, 5 cubits the length of the one mechanoth, and 4 cubits its width, and 6 in cubits its height. And this was the work of the mechanoth. They had a stopper between the projections. And on their stoppers between the projections were lions and oxen and cherubim. And on the projections thus, enclosed spaces both above and below the lions and the oxen, a work of descent. And the one mechanoth had 4 bronze wheels, and the bronze attachments in their 4 sides, shoulder pieces under the wash basins. And there were hands in the wheels in the mechanoth, and the height of the one wheel was 1.5 cubits. The work of the wheels was the work of chariot wheels, their hands and their backs and their works, the whole castings. The 4 shoulder pieces were at the 4 corners of the one mechanoth. Its shoulders were from the mechanoth. And on the top of the mechanoth, 1/2 cubit its size, a circle around on the top of the mechanoth, and a beginning of its hands and its borders, and it was open at the beginning of its hands. And its borders were cherubim and lions and palm trees, standing, each connected on its front, inside and round about. Like it he made all the 10 mechanoth, one order and measure for all. And he made 10 bronze buckets, the one bucket holding 40 kus by measure, the one bucket on the one mechanoth, for the 10 mechanoth. And he placed the 10 mechanoth, 5 on the shoulder of the house on the right, and 5 on the shoulder of the house on the left, and the sea on the shoulder of the house on the right, eastward, on the side of the south. And Hiram made the cauldrons and the tongs and the saucers, and Hiram finished making all the works that he made for King Solomon in the house of the Lord, 2 pillars and the wreathed works of the pillars, on the tops of the 2 pillars, and the 2 lattice works, to cover both the wreathed works of the carvings that were on the pillars, the 400 pomegranates for both the lattice works, 2 rows of pomegranates for the one lattice work, to wrap around both the wreathed works on both the pillars, and the 10 mechanoth, the 10 buckets on the mechanoth, and the one sea, and the 12 oxen underneath the sea, and the cauldrons and the tongs and the saucers, all the implements that Hiram made for King Solomon for the house of the Lord, and the 48 pillars of the house of the king and the house of the Lord. All the works of the king that Hiram made, entirely of bronze, the weight of the bronze of which he made all these works, very much in abundance. In the region of the Jordan the king cast them, in the thickness of the ground between Succoth and Sirah. And King Solomon gave the implements that he made in the house of the Lord, the golden altar, and the table upon which were the loaves of the offering, golden, and the lampstands, 5 on the right and 5 on the left, in front of the debir, overlaid gold, and the torches and the lamps and the golden pouring vessels, and the porticos and the nails and the saucers and the bowls, and the golden censers overlaid, and the doorways of the innermost part of the house, the Holy of the Holies, and the golden doors of the shrine. And all the work that King Solomon did on the house of the Lord was fulfilled. And Solomon brought in the holy things of his father David, and all the holy things of Solomon, the silver and the gold and the implements, and gave them into the treasuries of the house of the Lord. And Solomon built his house in 13 years. And he built the house to the forest of the Lebanon, 100 cubits its length, and 50 cubits its width, and 30 cubits its height, the 3 courses of cedar logs, and cedar shoulders for the logs. And he panelled the house from above on the sides of the logs, and the number of logs was 45, the course was 15, and there were 3 beams and space on space 3 times, and all the doorways and the spaces linked by beams were square, and from the doorway on the door 3 times. And the ilum of the pillars was 50 cubits long, and 30 cubits in width, linked together. There was an ilum in front of them, and pillars and thickness before it for the ilumim. And the ilum of the thrones, there where he pronounced judgment, ilum of the court. And he had a house, there where he sat, 1 court evolved for those according to this work, and a house for Pharaoh's daughter, whom Solomon took, corresponding to this ilum. All these were of costly stones, sculpted at intervals on the inside, even from the foundation to the coping, and on the outside into the great court, founded with large costly stones, stones of 10 cubits and 8 cubits, and above with costly stones, according to the measure of unhewn, and with cedars. For the great court, 3 courses of unhewn, and a course of sculptured cedar. And Solomon finished his whole house. And it happened, when Solomon finished building the house of the Lord, and his own house after 20 years, then King Solomon assembled all the elders of Israel in Zion, to bring up the ark of the covenant of the Lord, out of the city of David, this is Zion, in the month Athanin. And the priests carried the ark and the covert of witness, and all the holy vessels that were in the tent of witness. And the king and all Israel were before the ark, sacrificing countless sheep and oxen. And the priests brought the ark into its place in the debir of the house, into the Holy of Holies, underneath the wings of the cherubim. For the cherubim were spread out by their wings over the place of the ark. And the cherubim would cover above the ark, and above its holy things from above. And the sacred things projected. And the heads of the sacred things were seen from the holy place in front of the debir, but they could not be seen from outside. There was nothing in the ark except the 2 stone tablets, tablets of the covenant, that Moses had placed there at Horeb, which things the Lord arranged with the sons of Israel when they came out of the land of Egypt. And it happened, when the priests came out of the holy place, that a cloud filled the house, and the priests could not stand to minister from before the cloud, for the glory of the Lord filled the house. And the king turned his face away, and the king blessed all Israel, and all the assembly of Israel had stood. And he said, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel today, who spoke with his mouth concerning my father David, and fulfilled with his hands, saying, Since the day that I brought my people Israel out of Egypt, I have not chosen in a city, in one scepter of Israel, to build a house for my name to be there, but I chose in Jerusalem for my name to be there, and I chose David to be over my people Israel. And it was in the heart of my father David to build a house for the name of the Lord God of Israel. And the Lord said to my father David, Because it came into your heart to build a house for my name, you did well that it came into your heart. Nevertheless, you shall not build the house, but your son who will come forth out of your sides, he shall build the house for my name. And the Lord raised up his word that he spoke, and I arose in the place of my father David, and I sat on the throne of Israel, as the Lord had spoken, And I built the house for the name of the Lord God of Israel. And I set there a place for the ark, there wherein is the covenant of the Lord, which the Lord made with our fathers, when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. And Solomon stood before the altar of the Lord, before all the assembly of Israel, and spread out his hands to heaven, and said, O Lord God of Israel, there is no God like you in heaven above, and on the earth beneath, keeping covenant and mercy for your slave, who goes before you with his whole heart, which things you kept for your slave my father David, and spoke with your mouth, and have, as this day, fulfilled with your hands. And now, O Lord God of Israel, keep for your slave my father David what you spoke to him, saying, There shall not be taken from you a man from before me to sit on the throne of Israel, if only your children keep their ways to go before me, as you went before me. And now, O Lord God of Israel, do let your word to my father David be confirmed. For will God indeed dwell with people on the earth, if heaven and the heaven of the heaven will not suffice for you, how much less even this house that I built for your name? And you shall look upon my petition, O Lord God of Israel, to hear the delight with which your slave prays before you, to you this day, that your eyes may be opened day and night toward this house, toward the place of which you said, My name shall be there, that you may heed the prayer that your slave prays toward this place day and night. And you shall hearken to the petition of your slave and of your people Israel, which things they pray toward this place. And you shall listen in heaven, in the place of your habitation, and you shall do and be merciful. What each sins against his neighbor, and if he takes a curse upon him, that he be cursed, and comes and confesses before your altar in this house, then you shall listen from heaven, and act and shall judge your people Israel, that a lawless person has acted lawlessly, to give his way to his head, and to declare righteous a righteous person, to give him according to his righteousness. When your people Israel fall before enemies, because they will sin against you, and they shall return and acknowledge your name, and pray and plead in this house, then you shall listen from heaven, and be merciful to the sins of your people Israel, and bring them again to the land that you gave to their fathers. When the sky is shut up, and there is no rain, because they will sin against you, and they pray toward this place, and acknowledge your name, and turn from their sins when you humble them, then you shall listen from heaven and be merciful to the sins of your slave and your people Israel, because you will make clear to them the good way to go in it, and you will grant rain on the land that you gave to your people in inheritance. If there is famine, if there is death, for there will be burning, locust larvae, if there is mildew, and if their enemy afflicts them in one of their cities, any plague, any pain, any prayer, any petition, if it be to any person, when each knows the grip of his own heart, and spreads out his hands toward this house, then you shall listen from heaven, from your established dwelling place, and will be merciful and act and give to a man according to his ways, just as you know his heart. For you alone know the heart of all the sons of men, that they may fear you all the days that they live in the land that you gave to our fathers. And for the stranger, he who is not of your people, when they shall come and pray toward this place, then you shall listen from heaven, from your established dwelling place, and do according to all that the stranger calls to you for, that all the peoples may know your name, and fear you like your people Israel, and know that your name has been invoked on this house that I have built. For your people will go out to battle against their enemies, by a way that you shall turn them, and they will pray in the name of the Lord by way of the city, which you have chosen to be in it, and the house that I have built for your name. Then you from heaven shall listen to their petition, and their prayer, and maintain their cause, because they will sin against you, for there is not a person who will not sin, and you will bring against them, and hand them over before enemies, and those who take captive shall take them captive to a land far off and near, and they will turn their hearts in the land, there where they were transferred. And should they turn and plead with you in the land of their deportation, saying, We have sinned, we have acted lawlessly, we have acted unjustly, and they turn to you with their whole heart, and with their whole soul in the land of their enemies, where you transferred them, and they shall pray to you by way of their land, which you gave to their fathers, the city that you have chosen, and the house that I have built for your name. Then you shall listen from heaven, from your established dwelling place, and you will be merciful to their injustices, with which they sinned against you, and according to all their transgressions that they have transgressed against you. And you will give them over to compassion before their captors, and they will have compassion on them, for they are your people and your heritage, which you brought out of the land of Egypt, from the midst of a smelter of iron. And let your eyes and your ears be open to the petition of your slave, and to the petition of your people Israel, to listen to them whenever they call to you. For you have separated them for yourself from among all the peoples of the earth, to be your heritage, just as you said by the hand of your slave Moses, when you brought our fathers out of the land of Egypt, O Lord, O Lord. Then Solomon spoke concerning the house, when he had finished building it. A son the Lord made manifest in the sky. He said that he should dwell in deep darkness. Build my house, a remarkable house for yourself, to dwell in anew. And behold, is this one not written in a book of the song? And it happened, when Solomon finished praying the whole prayer, and this petition to the Lord, that he arose from before the altar of the Lord, crouched down on his knees and his hands spread out toward heaven. And he stood and blessed all the assembly of Israel with a loud voice, saying, Blessed be the Lord today, who has given rest to his people Israel, according to all that he spoke. Not one word failed in all his good words which he spoke by the hand of his slave Moses. May the Lord our God be with us, as he was with our fathers. May he not abandon us or turn us away, to incline our hearts to him, to go in all his ways and to keep all his commandments, and his ordinances which he commanded our fathers. And let these words which I have pleaded before the Lord our God be near to the Lord our God day and night, that he may maintain the cause of your slave, and the cause of your people Israel, as a word of a day in its day, so that all the peoples of the earth may know that the Lord God, he is God, and there is no other. And let our hearts be perfect to the Lord our God, to go devoutly in his ordinances, and to keep his commandments as this day. And the king and all the sons of Israel offered a sacrifice before the Lord. And King Solomon offered the sacrifices of peace, that he sacrificed to the Lord, 22,000 oxen, and 120,000 sheep. And the king and all the sons of Israel dedicated the house of the Lord. On that day the king consecrated the middle of the court, that was in front of the house of the Lord, for there he made the whole burnt offering, and the sacrifices and the fat pieces of the peace offerings, because the bronze altar that was before the Lord was small, so as not to be able to bear the whole burnt offering and the sacrifices of peace. And Solomon held the feast in that day, and all Israel with him, a great assembly from the entering in the Hamath to the river of Egypt, before the Lord our God, in the house that he built, eating and drinking and rejoicing before the Lord our God 7 days. And in the 8th day he sent the people away, and he blessed them, and they went each to his tents joyful and in good heart, because of the good things that the Lord did to his slave David, and to his people Israel.